So, Ted Cruz, I'm so sorry for you, boo. But your mama is not here to clean up your mess. Your wife, your kids are not here to clean up this mess for you. There was no one to rescue you. And it was so sad to see Ted Cruz show out during the final hours of soon to be Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation hearing, right? We get to Cory Booker and all that. We'll get to Brother Cory. We'll get to his brothers and sisters from Hawaii and California. We'll get to all of that. But I want to just take a moment to talk about Ted Cruz. Not talk about his sister, not talk about Ted's Senator sister, Becky or Karen, wherever she is, getting up there talking about so-called abortion rights, and the other one's talking about abortion rights when, well, what about a person's right to be born and have a life and health? And they listed all this stuff, all these programs, education, school, things that they gut, but they're going to defend a right for a person to be born, but then gut everything that it takes for a person to live. So there was all of that. But then there was Ted Cruz just really bringing it home. And I'm so glad that I called my mother immediately after the hearing and we helped each other debrief, because it was so sad to see his performance of him attacking, and then turn around and say, you remember he was sitting there, but what about this letter? And what about this? And we have 14 signed senators. And what about this? And you're not going to let me? Victim, right? So by the end, when he's not being cut off, he's being told by the senior member who's the chair that, wait a minute, but these are the rules that we agreed to. These are the rules. I'm not going to show any bias. These are the rules. And so Ted Cruz is sitting there, but I'm the victim, after he's just been on the attack. Oh, you call this children's book critical race theory? You call this this speech that you made where you listed all the things that are impacting how we see law today? Well, you mentioned critical race theory. Well, she also mentioned psychology. She also mentioned ecology. She also mentioned a range of other things, but because she mentioned critical race theory, you attack, and then when no one bites, when no one responds as if they've been attacked, they just, you're really not worthy of my response. And when Judge Brown Jackson goes on to just explain to them, for example, like she did on the first day, she was explaining some stuff we learned in 7th grade about why we have federal defenders to defend even the most heinous criminals, and why it's important for our justice system to have both. Why it's important for even someone to understand that even in the classroom, we force people to take both sides or alternative sides of an argument and actually debate it to its core, because that in itself not only strengthens each of us individually and our ability to think through issues rationally, but it also generates a middle path, a new way of seeing. And so she spent the first hours of this confirmation explaining to them why our justice system is different from the legislative branch, from the administrative branch, and how the justice system really relies on seeing not just one person's truth, but gathering perspectives to understand context. So she constantly had to introduce this term that we have in Black English, stay in your lane. By the end of the first day, she had all of them using that term to explain a concept that they clearly could not grasp, because still on the third day, Ted Cruz is saying, you're responsible for the school board's children's books on the school that you're on, and you're also on the board of Harvard, and they're also teaching about this, and that. And she's like, I stay in my lane. What you're talking about is your lane. What you're talking about is your lane. You haven't legislated this. And that brings us to the sex crimes. Why are so many Republicans now so interested in sex crimes and sexual predators? Because I can think of a few sexual predators in their party, prominent ones. And I'm not naming any names. I'll give you a moment to just name someone who grabs people who don't want to be grabbed, for example, and brags about it, who disparages women who disagree with them as being ugly, who talks about a perfect phone conversation is saying, oh, I'll give you, say you're on the phone with David and David's saying, Goliath is going to attack at any moment. And David is your friend. You're like, David's saying, can you help me? And you're like, well, David, I'll help you. But you got to do this favor for me first. You got to dig up some dirt on my opponent. Like, this kind of predatory behavior is so rampant on the Republican side that it becomes difficult to take them seriously when they don't present a balanced view of such topics, i.e., they lack integrity, because that's what that effectively is, to talk about the right to be born, but not talk about any of the rights to live. That lacks integrity, right? To talk about the right to carry guns, but not talk about any of the responsibilities. Like, that lacks integrity, right? To accuse a children's book of calling every baby racist. Ted Cruz. Every baby's racist! You're calling us racist! Help! To cry victim, to attack someone. You're calling us racist! And you're not, and he wants her to rescue me. He wants her to rescue him. Am I racist? Are my babies racist? And so what is she supposed to do? Explain sociology, like the term socialization? That's literally what my mother said. What is she supposed to do? Explain the term socialization, the role of children's books and representation in socializing babies? Like, what is she actually supposed to explain in that moment about her own private decisions to take her children to a private school, like Harvard, private, and that it's not governed by public rules, or it's governed differently according to them? Because remember Betsy DeVos? Let's just take all the money out of public schools and give parents this choice that we're now using to decry this judge on this lack of integrity. And that's what integrity means, is that you integrate the extremes. That you don't just say, I'm extremely upset because I want guns. I'm extremely upset because I don't want you to have an abortion. I'm extremely upset because you can't define what a woman is. And yet, as Joy Reid said on her show, all of these things that they have to say about sexual predators and the 7 cases that they spent hours asking over and over and over about and rehearsing predetermined talking points about that they'll be using for their future campaign clips, not one of them has a solution. Not one of them will propose any ways to deal with the problems that they addressed in sentencing, for example, that our sentencing guidelines for sexual predators are, I think, about 15 years old. That's how old is Facebook? And how old are Facebook and iPhone? Do those sentencing guidelines reflect what we can do on Facebook, Instagram, and with an iPhone? Similarly, we know that there are lots of laws that have to catch up with our technology. And for them not to account for any of this, or to say that this is what the sentencing guidelines are, and you're doing something different, and not to say this is what the sentencing guidelines are, and this is how you are doing what's well within the norm of what judges are doing, given this lack of a lack of clarity from the legislative body in their lane, right? They are crying victim. They're trying to persecute her. And when no one treats them as if they're agreeing with this persecution, they play victim. And you see them oscillate between this persecutor, victim, persecutor, victim. And yet there's no one to rescue them. And so it falls flat. And it's really sad because this is actually a Supreme Court confirmation hearing. These are actually sitting senators in the United States upper house of Parliament. And they actually don't know how to stay in their lane. It's like the movie Changing Lanes.